Hey everyone, Andrew back again, and welcome to another mid-December horror DVD Blu-ray update. And as you can see, this update is shot slightly differently. I've decided to do it vanilla Gorilla Beast style. Absolutely love his style of updates, and I felt like doing something similar. Plus I was a little bit lazy and didn't really feel like sitting in front of the camera, so I thought we'd try this way, and we'll see how it goes. So just going to get straight into it. As you can see, we have some DVDs and a nice stack of Blu-rays. So I thought we'd start with the DVDs first. And first up for the DVDs, we have the Masters of Horror We All Scream for Ice Cream. This is a really awesome, really fun segment out of the Masters of Horror set, and I loved it so much I wanted to pick up the individual release, so I went ahead and picked it up. The DVD was really cheap. If you haven't seen this, I highly recommend it, and the cover art is pretty awesome. Next up we have the UK DVD of Halloween 2. Didn't own this release, picked it up for really cheap on eBay, and really happy to add it to the collection. Next up for the DVDs we have Halloween the Curse of Michael Myers, and this is an awesome sequel. I especially love the producer's cut of this movie, it's pretty awesome. This is a pretty significant release because this is the first time we've seen this movie get a local DVD release over here in Australia. Very long time in the making, but glad that it finally got a disc-based release. So I had to pick it up, add it to the collection, support the local release. So that's Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. Okay, and moving on to the Blu-rays. So first up for the Blu-rays we have Cannibal Holocaust, and this is the Australian Blu-ray release. Still haven't got around to checking the movie out. It's definitely a film I need to be in the mood to sit down and watch, and I just haven't been in the mood as of yet. Heard a lot of things about this movie, thought it was high time I picked it up and checked it out, so I will get around to it at some point. So that's Cannibal Holocaust. Next we have The Battery, which was a really solid Scream Factory release, and this is a title that I got kind of caught up in the hype, I think. I heard a lot of great things about it, and I went ahead and picked it up, and I was pretty disappointed in this one. Now don't get me wrong, from a production standpoint it was a very impressive movie, really well made. I think it had a budget of like $6,000, so for that, very well done, and it did not look like a low budget movie at all, so they used that money extremely well. However, the actual movie itself I really didn't care for. Now I am a big fan of the zombie genre, but I felt they just strayed way too far off the normal formula for my liking. It centered around two ex-baseball players, and it was pretty much just a movie about them trying to survive the zombie apocalypse together. I felt the lack of zombie action really killed the movie for me. When it comes to zombie films, I like to see zombies, I like zombie action. This one just was way too character driven, and it was really, I had the same issue with this movie that I do with the Walking Dead series. Not enough zombie action, too much character drama, and characters I really didn't care for. So unfortunately I didn't really care too much for The Battery. And continuing on with the zombie theme, we have The Dead 2, and I was highly anticipating this sequel. I'm a massive fan of the first movie, it's one of my favourite modern zombie films ever. I thought it was so well done. However, I was a little let down with the sequel. Now don't get me wrong, it's not a bad movie, it's still really well made, and I did like it. However, it really wasn't different enough from the original. I was expecting something a little bit different, a little bit more from this movie. Essentially it's a carbon copy of the first movie, just with a different location. This one's set in India, and of course it has different characters. I definitely preferred the original movie, I preferred the original setting, I thought it was better shot, and I certainly preferred the characters in the original film. That being said, The Dead 2 was a solid sequel. It was good, but not great. I really felt they needed to do something a little bit different, and the movie would have been better in my opinion. But essentially it's really just a carbon copy of the first movie. So a little bit disappointed, but still it is worth checking out, especially if you are a fan of the first film. Next up we have Slumber Party Massacre, and I'm really late to the party picking this Blu-ray release up. I've been wanting it pretty much ever since it came out, so I'm glad to finally own this one on Blu-ray. Also picked up The Final Terror, which is another really solid effort from Scream Factory. I highly recommend this release. Now, I was pretty surprised when they announced this slasher movie. It's a pretty obscure one from the 80s, and I will say it's not one of my all-time favourites, but it's still a good slasher. It's a slow burn, there's not a high body count, but I really like the characters within the film, and it's a fairly different type of slasher. It's more of a out in the woods sort of survival slasher, so I really enjoyed that aspect of the film. But Scream Factory have done a really solid job releasing this movie onto Blu-ray, so if you are a slasher fan, I definitely recommend The Final Terror. Support Scream Factory with this release, they've done a really good job. Next up we have The Babadook, and I've been pretty hyped for this movie. This is an Australian film from this year, 2014, and I've got to say it certainly lived up to my expectations. I thought it was amazing, I loved it. Some key points for me within this movie: the performances from the mother and son, Amelia and Samuel, were absolutely amazing. Essentially, it's really a movie centered around both of those characters. Their home basically gets invaded by a monster from a book that the mother reads Sam one night called The Babadook. So essentially it is a monster movie. It's kind of different though. It's got a lot of great psychological elements, especially as you get deeper into the two characters. So well done, really atmospheric, extremely creepy, and I thought the third act of the movie, when they were sort of trying to get rid of the monster, was absolutely amazing. So if you've yet to check out this movie, I highly recommend it. Another awesome horror movie out of Australia, absolutely loved it. And last but certainly not least, we have Housebound, and I picked this one up from Amazon. Apparently it's an Amazon exclusive, and this is another really recent movie, another 2014 film, and I absolutely loved it. I would say it's my favourite movie within this update, so I definitely wanted to leave it till last. But yeah, this is a horror movie from New Zealand, and they don't really make too many horror movies out of New Zealand much anymore, so I was definitely pretty keen to check this one out. It's just over the ditch from Australia, so yeah, had to pick it up, had to check it out, and again, I was not disappointed. This was absolutely fantastic. It's kind of a hybrid mix of horror, domestic comedy, and a murder mystery, and the three genres blend in perfectly. So well done, really entertaining, pretty creepy, and the cast of characters was really good. It was really well acted. Basically, it's about a young woman called Kylie. She gets busted for breaking into an ATM machine. She ends up being put under house arrest, so she goes and lives with her mum. She has an alarm on her ankle, like an ankle bracelet, so she can't go anywhere. And essentially the movie kind of plays out like a haunted house film, but there is a lot of different twists and turns throughout the film. Really fun movie. I loved it, and I definitely highly recommend it. Easily one of the best modern horrors this millennium, so definitely check out Housebound. It's well worth it, and I thought it was great. Okay guys, so there you have my mid-December horror DVD Blu-ray update. If you've seen any of these movies, as always, please let me know what you think of them in the comment section below. I hope you've enjoyed the update, and before I go, if you have not seen The Babadook or Housebound, those are the two movies that I recommend the most from this update. Absolutely must watches for any horror fan, so check both of those movies out, and thanks for watching.